Hey everybody. Recently there have been some complications in regards to Steam reviews and basically our freedom of speech when it comes to expressing exactly what we like and don't like about games. This isn't exactly new, in fact this latest occurrence is from December already, but that's actually the point and part of the problem. There has been, and I suspect will be, a big push against us as individual players and our freedom to express ourselves on some reviewing platforms such as Steam and others, and also against us specifically as content creators in this space. The signs are there since a while now and growing, so I expect things are going to get hairy throughout 2026, at least when it comes to some platforms and specifically some games. We have a lot to go over, so let's get in there and take a look at some of what went down. And I hate asking this early, but if you find yourselves enjoying the video along the way, giving it a like really helps digging it out of the algorithm graveyard. So this whole situation is a bit of a mess. There's a lot of different little things from various people and we'll get into that a little bit later, but let's start with a recent developer Crashout. So this is Mike Rose. He's a former game journalist and game reviewer, which is going to be both making what we'll be discussing today be quite fitting, but also simultaneously very ironic. Currently though, and as of 2017, he's the founder of No More Robots, which is a pretty successful indie games publishing label. And a few weeks ago we went on a bit of a meltdown both on social media and Steam because he was upset that his very well reviewed games were dropping a bit when it came to the scores. The game in question was sitting at overwhelmingly positive, and then because of two recent negative reviews that hit unexpectedly and overnight like a squad raiding Venezuela, the score of the game went from overwhelmingly positive to just mostly positive, and this was enough to get the dude to lose it. Especially because those reviews were basically related to ideological reasons. Quote, "We had an overwhelmingly positive score on Steam. Then these two reviews rolled in. Why does Valve allow this?" What is this guy, British? Is he a Keir Starmer campaign donor or something? It's allowed because of freedom of speech, of course. What the fuck do you mean, why does Valve allow this? Oh man, negative reviews that affect my product and kind of bum me out? Why does the platform allow this? The reviews are these here on screen, I'll read them for you guys as well. So, number one from Laram says, "Woke game, also has Muslims. Not recommended." God damn. Well, okay then. The next one is from Nicholas here. "Too much forced politics. Literally only took me 15 minutes to start getting force-fed DEI nonsense. Love the art and the music though. I wish more games would use isometric pixel art." Well, that one's nice. I don't see the issue with that one at all. Why is he wanting to ban these reviews? Like the first one from Laram, oh by the way, and yeah, that's the thing, he wants to ban these reviews. We'll get to that in a second. Like the first one from Laram, I kind of get how that can be perceived a certain way. Still, it entirely depends on the context. Like for instance, if I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance or a Witcher game and I'm roaming around in the northern provinces or Skellige Isles or whatever, and suddenly the world is packed with Muslims, that's 100% a valid negative point because it shows that the developers are indeed trying to force feed some type of nonsense into their game for ideological reasons. After all, why would you do that? Like, that's really the question there. If you are intentionally misrepresenting a game's setting, it has to be for a reason, and that's usually the reason. But if I'm playing Assassin's Creed Mirage, then of course the same review point would no longer work. In fact, it would be the opposite. And suddenly if I saw a bunch of random white people walking around, like Vikings or whatever, or a bunch of Japanese people as the NPCs of the city of Baghdad, I would also be wondering what the fuck is going on here. Like, none of this is necessarily rocket science, but I feel like it needs to be said because sadly so much of the discourse surrounding these matters is packed with bad faith, disingenuous people who will misinterpret what you're saying on purpose to make you look bad. But in the end, the main point is, depending on the context, you could see Laram's comment as is edgy, and yet still he should be allowed to make it. Steam might not have Karen rules that allow these reviews to be outright banned, but they do already have their own little things where, for example, you can give a clown symbol on a review, which indicates to other users that it shouldn't be taken seriously or that it's a bad take or whatever. It also has other things like allowing users to vote whether the review is helpful or not, and showing whether the game was received for free or purchased, and how many hours have people spent playing the game. All of these little things allow users to discern whether someone's opinion is actually valid or potential lies and review bombs. Sorry for getting a bit sidetracked here with all this review stuff, but it'll all be relevant in a second. Back to the main point that I was making though. You may see Laram's review in a certain way, but what's the problem with Nicholas' review? The dude even liked the game. He praised the art and the music. He wished more games did what this game is doing. He just doesn't want to be bombarded with politics out of the gate. He's allowed to speak his damn mind, so again I ask, what the hell do you mean? Why does Valve allow this? Then he does the same thing for another game of theirs named Yes, Your Grace. Quote, I just checked the Yes, Your Grace Steam page and this is literally the latest review. Are we okay with this sitting all over our Steam pages now? And what he's showing is another review from another user saying, at first I was going to praise the game for not filling a medieval fantasy setting with black lesbians for no reason, but then I realized they just waited until part 2 to start jamming in all the DEI crap. Like, I don't know what to say to Mikey Boy here. It doesn't really matter whether he's okay with it or not sitting there. This is just life. He's making and publishing games. People will see those games and talk shit about them. What's weird to me is that I don't see him defending his games. Like, here's the thing, I'm gonna be real with you guys right now, even from like a bit of a devil's advocate perspective. The best thing that you can do as a game developer or publisher or whatever in these situations, including content creators, is to clown whoever is doing that and embarrass them publicly by showing how they're lying, if that is the case. It's by taking the game and showing everyone how there is no such thing, and the person in question making these comments about forced DEI and all that is lying. But Mike doesn't do that. He just runs off to his blue sky echo chamber and whines like a little bitch about things that nobody outside the echo chamber realistically cares about. Like, yes, your game is getting dunked on by an internet rando. Welcome to 2006, Mike. Anything else? Oh, he's talking shit on the internet. Welcome to 1999. Like, what is this? And then the tone and the implication that companies are meant to just bend over to you and remove comments that you don't like. Now this is pure blue sky echo chamber energy. This is when you know you're completely out of touch. It's this right here. It's when you think that number 1, corporations actually care about you, and number 2, when you think that they should bend over to suit your every whim and comfort while silencing others. You are publicly advocating for oppressive shit like censorship, just casually wondering why comments are allowed to be made by people. That's just insane. And it's not just comments either, like these are reviews. These people paid for the damn game, they played it, and they have an opinion about it. And again, the lack of a direct response proving these people wrong and exposing them for being liars or grifters is the worst part of it. Because it just tells me that these comments in those reviews are actually right, and these games do indeed have some force-fed ideological activism in it that Mike doesn't want people to have the freedom to criticize. Because, man, it just really bums him out, guys. It just bums him out. If you guys could just please, get basically segregated from the internet, stop being able to, post your opinions and just talk freely, to spare his feelings, spare him the inconvenience of kind of like, just having like a bad day, that would really be great, okay, guy? If you could just give up your freedom of speech, for the homies, that would really just be great, okay? He carries on with, don't worry, I responded to this one too, showing his developer response, quote, hey, you make me feel embarrassed to be British. So he actually is British. I didn't even know. The joke from earlier was just meant to be a joke. But goddamn, hey man, hey! I mean, it makes sense, huh? Poor sods can't even go on Facebook and say anything the government might perceive as unsavory. They'll be hauled away before 3 o'clock, so it doesn't surprise me one bit that that's what Mike wants his game Steam pages to look like. A haven of positivity, where nobody is allowed to criticize anything he decides to shove into the game. Ain't that something? Today it's complaining about DEI, then tomorrow it's just about any other complaint, which is something I didn't really bother going into, but is actually a major concern here. Freedom of speech needs to be protected. Once you set a precedent that any comment or review can just be banned or removed or filtered away from some bullshit reasoning like, oh, it hurts my feelings, or crossing someone's perceived lines of what is appropriate or inappropriate, then you can pretty much start banning anything else. And boy oh boy, I know how hungry these big publishers are for this too. They hate Steam for this very reason. They keep accusing Steam, oh, it's a fucking, what do you call it, a monopoly. Oh, in reality there really is no monopoly. People just choose to be here because it's the more feature-complete platform. Ubisoft even wants Steam charts to go away because they don't like how anyone can see how many players are playing any given game of theirs at any given time. They don't like how that can affect their perceived value on the market. Yeah, they don't like the truth. They want to take that shit away because they know freedom of speech and freedom of information is boning them, boys. Oh, they know it, and they know how beautiful of a utopia it would be if they could just have that removed from the equation. Why? Because then everything just comes together like a beautiful symphony. They release their bad games with whatever content they want the games to be caked up with, and at whatever high price suits them, anyone expressing negative criticism online making the game look bad can get banned because, oh my goodness, my feelings are hurt, or heavily regulated to not be allowed to do so, especially when it comes to the more controversial points. Meanwhile, games media keeps doing what they already do, lying to the consumers about the game's quality by giving everything a goddamn 7, that is way too inconvenient to give anything lower than, and then giving the big ones, the main games that they want to push ideologically, such as Dragon Age Veilguard, whole ass 9s out of 10s, with articles on top trying to get people to play them like, hey fellas, give this game a try, wouldn't ya? And then the cherry on top is the stuff they pulled throughout 2025, where even if a game is still not selling well, despite negative review suppression and journalist glazing, they can still have those same media outlets go out there and manipulate sales data to lie about the game's sales. Just as they did last year to Assassin's Creed Shadows, telling everyone that the game was the best seller, in the top 3.
Right.
When it actually wasn't at all. And this is just perfect. That way investors can read the news and be like, oh, the company that we put in a bunch of money to make the game is doing well. Oh, that's great. And I said this before, sorry for repeating myself, fellas, but it's both funny and important that this was exposed by themselves by accident when they released this top 20 bestseller list 3 days after Ghost of Yotei released to make it look good in that, oh hey everyone, look, 3 days only and this game is already one of this year's bestsellers in terms of revenue. But they forgot about Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's not in there. I mean, my eyesight is pretty decent, but I don't know, I've been kinda sick lately, got a bit of a flu these days, so maybe I'm missing the biggest top seller of the year on the market, as per the articles at least, right? I mean, they wouldn't lie to us, now would they?
You serious?
Or wait, okay, you know what? Well, okay, fine, guys, whatever. I'll be fair. I'm nothing if not fair and good faith, okay? So I'll be fair and admit the truth. The truth is, guys, I lied to you. Assassin's Creed Shadows is actually such a major hit that it broke the scale, and that's why it's not on this list. The game sold so many concordillion dollars that its very own inherent greatness makes it impossible to fit into that list. They tried to type it down, it just wouldn't work. Some people, man, they just make me go on whole ass rants. And the funny thing is, he wouldn't even be able to tell me I'm lying or exaggerating because he just doesn't deal in the facts. He just whine about how it is that I'm allowed to express my own opinion in my own video. Oh, how could this be?
No, don't do it!
The truth is, he is free to express his own in his games too. If he wants to put that kind of thing in his games, like if this is his and his studio's vision and they're passionate about it and all that, then go for it. But what you can't do is just prevent people from complaining about it. Let's actually finish reading the developer response to that last one which we interrupted, and then, see what Mike really thinks. Quote, "Hey, you make me feel embarrassed to be British. By the way, there's a lot of British people who are embarrassed that you're British too, so don't worry about that, okay? Anyway, back to it. Please refund the game and then crawl back into the hole you came from. Cheers." I think Mike is mad, guys. I don't know, but I think he might be mad. This wasn't his only response, by the way, but I'll show you that in a second. First, let's get to the dude exposing himself for what he truly wants. To silence us. "I'm just so fucking tired of all this. Valve does nothing to solve it. Everyone can see it's getting worse and worse. Why haven't they just put a filter on the term DEI? Why are they cool with this? It fucking baffles me." Cry about it, Mike. Here's the reality. This exists because people like this decided to push their activism bullshit into the games industry. If I was Mike, I wouldn't even be mad at whoever is leaving those comments. These are drops in a bucket. They don't even matter. This dude has already made millions of dollars off of his indie label. He's not going to stop making that money unless the games go completely to shit. Clearly, he has his little fanbase with each game, and they're working even if they're niche. Frankly, these aren't even drops in a bucket, they're drops in an ocean, okay? Because if you didn't crash out, nobody would even see these comments. Now they're internet famous. But anyway, if I was Mike, the people I'd really be mad at are the ones who have pushed and keep pushing for activism in the mainstream circle of the industry, because that is where this effect is coming from. That is what is making users like these react the way they do when they find things that they perceive are just more activism, even when sometimes they're not, because I do acknowledge that sometimes it's not. It's just a thing in a video game. But we're basically locked in this vicious cycle now where the well has been so poisoned that games walk around on eggshells, hyper alert about anything that may be another sign of an ideology that openly hates them. And of this, Mike is guilty too, because again, he doesn't bother to respond or prove anything wrong, he just goes off. "Oh, you're an embarrassment, don't buy my games, go crawl back into your hole." Like, what the fuck kind of dehumanizing response is that? The review didn't even insult any developers, it didn't even attack anyone individually or personally, it's just an opinion on the game, but this dude just blows up on the guy. And I bet that neither of Mike's friends or cohorts in the games industry, and also potentially even some of you watching right now, even really noticed that standing out, because we are at a point where this has gotten completely normalized. Shit-talking gamers and expressing hatred towards us is the norm in the games industry now, from both big major studios featuring developers who have done it before publicly, from studios like Obsidian, Compulsion Games, CD Projekt Red, Square Enix, Firewalk, Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch, The Initiative, BioWare, Wizards of the Coast, Ubisoft, so on and so forth. I mean, holy shit, we'd be here all day. But also smaller indie ones. And usually I don't tend to pay much attention at indies because generally indie developers are on another plane, you know what I mean? Like, they're not, they're not making big bucks, they're not entire companies tied to major corporations like Sony and Microsoft. It's a different level of professionalism, they're just dudes and chicks like us down here in the mud. It's just that they also make video games. Now, don't get me wrong, the more respectful you are, the further you will go. A professional work ethic is always a bonus, but I'm just saying that I don't take it as seriously as I do when it comes from the big boys. This is what the industry, games journalism, and game discourse in general has defaulted to. And it's not just in our side of the fence either. It's been the same like this for years as well when it comes to TV and film, with loads of vitriol being expressed for fans whenever they criticize bad entertainment. Like, for example, make a bad review or give a negative score to The Acolyte, and congratulations! You are now labeled a bigot, a racist, and a sexist by all of Disney. The main actress did it, the director did it, hell, even the big president herself, Kathleen Kennedy, did it. I mean, shit, the actress even made a whole ass song about it. Seriously, a whole song. with a video clip and everything, but you can't play it or she'll claim it.
I'ma tell you something. They spin it, woke, bastardize it, appreciate it.
It says appropriate it, not appreciate it.
Appreciate it, appropriated, whatever.
That's just how it goes there, and it's the same disease here too, where instead of addressing the problem, they just default to attacking us instead and advocating for suppressing or outright silencing the only thing that we have left to protest, which is our voice, and consequently, our wallet. Please note that this has become so prevalent in the games industry, and it has. I have scores of evidence of it. If you're a skeptic, feel free to check out my other videos. I just won't dump it all out right now in the interest of keeping this video focused and not having it run into hour-long territory. So please note that this has become such a prevalent problem in the games industry that Mike and others exasperate, saying how sick of it they are and how much worse it's getting, like tough shit. But the thing is, it's become such a huge issue, but they don't want to fix it. They don't want to address the problem by doing less of it or doing it in a way that is more natural and more fitting, or better yet, calling out their extremes. They make no positive moves to find a solution. All they do is complain about us, insult us, and attempt to ban or silence comments or reviews that they don't like. Here's another one for the road. Since I posted this yesterday, the writer of the I Hate Muslims review, whoop, stop right there, brother. Here we go again with the disingenuous lying bullshit. This doesn't exist. At no point in the review did Lorem write this. He wrote that the game is woke and has Muslims, and he doesn't recommend it. But does that mean... Shh. Words matter. One phrase means a whole lot more than the other, as I already specified in the first point. But let's continue with this man's fan fiction. The writer of the review has doubled down and added that they also hate transgender people. By the way, again, he didn't say any such thing. He just said that political views and opinions should be kept to themselves rather than injected in video games. The only thing he expressed hatred for is the infection of politics in the world, as it ends up with developers like them to shove these things in people's faces, even in entertainment. Whether this is accurate or not, guys, I'll be real, I can't tell you. I didn't play the game, and I'm definitely not inclined towards giving Mike any money just to do so for this video or honestly any other. It's not even my type of game, frankly. But it is nonetheless this guy's view, and he's allowed to express it. That's it. Let's continue. So, resuming, the writer of the review doubled down and added something that this dude just lied about. The developer here flagged the review, but apparently Valve removed the flag and did nothing about it. The review remains up and is on the page, and he concludes with the same delusional nonsense of, "Is this what Steam is now? Like, what are you on, brother? Were you born yesterday? Steam has been like this for years, decades, forever, since its inception. And no, that's not a bad thing, because there's nothing bad there in the first place. You just goddamn lied about two things the reviewer did, which in reality he didn't do. Is it really a surprise that your flag was removed and Valve did nothing? Your claims are not real. You are brain rotted, good sir. You're making false claims, exaggerated to Kingdom Come, pumped to the max with outrage because you want so desperately for the company to bend over for you and do what you want it to do, since that is precise what you got so comfortably used to over the last few years. You go online, you cry about it, you make exaggerated claims that make no goddamn sense, and what do all these other companies do for you? They bent over and they said, "Oh yes, of course, I'm so sorry, how could this be?" They did what you wanted, they removed content, they, fucking made social media as a complete clown show of shadow bans and actual bans. And apologies. "Oh, we're so sorry about this, and we're so sorry about that, and oh my goodness." Them days are over, okay? Get used to it and embrace a better model. A free marketplace of ideas where you can expose the crap out of these commenters for being liars and grifters, if such is the truth. And of course, if you have the cojones and the receipts to back it up. which apparently Mike didn't, so, all that he resorted to doing is, head out to Blue Sky and cope about it to his friends. Meanwhile, the Crashout went public and more people noticed it and went to the goddamn game and gave it negative reviews, mentioning the fact that the developers of the game want people silenced for their opinion. And you know what's worse? Mike probably didn't even work on the game, at least not directly. He's the owner of the label, but, as far as I know, that's about it. By doing this whole song and dance, he went and damaged these games further, of which the development team probably wasn't even to blame. At least they weren't to blame for the Crashout itself. The Crashout was all Mike's, and now here we are. Finally, to close off this section, I want to show another couple of delusional responses. This one is to Laram. Such a snowflake that you deleted our response. Cool guy. It's a shame that people like you exist in the world, but hey, at least we could piss you off. Please never ever play any of our games ever again. You know what's funny about his rhetoric? It's actually so much worse than Laram's, and Laram's is out here bitching to Valve to get it deleted, because here's the thing, Laram may be an asshole in the way that he wrote what he wrote, but at no point did he express any actual real-life hatred or rhetoric against Muslim people or trans people. He just said ideological elements such as injecting these types of characters into what is meant to be a cozy building game is something nobody wants. That's it. But the developer straight up goes for expressing that Laram and other people like him should straight up not exist. It's fucking wild how tone deaf this dude is to the things that he's complaining about and the reasons that he's complaining about them versus the things that he's saying. And this just serves as a prime example that these people don't want Valve to ban Steam comments or reviews because of some altruistic, moral or societal value that should exist to protect XYZ people for any valid reason that actually applies to everyone on a platform. They just want you banned because they hate you specifically and want you gone. And this one is a response to Nicholas, the dude who liked the art and the music but just said that there's too much forced politics for his taste. Quote, "For everyone visiting this review, Nicholas is actively deleting any and all comments that go against his views. I know this because I've just sat and watched him do it." There were over 18 comments on this review and now it's down to 6 at the time of me writing this. Of course he's leaving the comments that support his view and apparently we're the snowflakes. Genuinely, is this guy okay? Did he hit his goddamn head or some shit? Brother, you're trying to get entire reviews banned for criticizing content that is in your game. You're advocating for Valve to nuke reviews that have certain terms such as DEI. Are you serious right now? Like, holy shit, if Nicholas was really doing that, which I don't even know if he is, I mean, Mike already lied about 2 things before, so I don't trust him for shit. Plus there's 50 comments on this review, but anyway, even if it was true, at least he's just deleting a few little comments under his review. You, sir, are advocating for silencing millions of voices across entire goddamn platforms. Take your virtue signaling and your victim bullshit elsewhere. Like, this is rich. This dude is basically taking a play out of the Sweet Baby Inc. handbook, like when they tried to get Valve to take down the Sweet Baby Inc. detected curation group that alerted buyers of any games that were worked on in association with them. It's like wanting a supermarket to remove the allergy warning labels from food. And yes, it really is that bad at this point. A game can go up to as much as $70 on Steam. Sweet Baby Inc. cringe might not put me in a hospital, but it causes its own set of psychological and financial damages, guys. I could cut the video here and it even be a great saving grace for me since I'm feeling like shit, but I wanted to talk a bit about how this goes further than what just happened there and why I think it's going to be a bigger problem in the future. It's because I've been seeing nuggets of this going on throughout the last 2 years, and that's at least the last 2 years, where certain people have either talked about putting pressure on certain platforms or have already straight up taken action in doing so, and also other instances of people doing so to individuals, including taking legal action. There's other way smaller examples of this, which come in the way of dismissal of certain audiences as if they were not allowed to even enjoy certain games anymore. For example, how it was done with Black Myth Wukong's players, and now recently with Lords of the Fallen 2 fans who were labeled as the wrong kind of fans, or in other words, all the wrong people. It's like, if you're already being labeled as a wrong kind of fan, or straight up wrong people, when it just comes to enjoying whatever games you want to enjoy with the content that you like and that is being catered to you, it's really not hard to make the leap towards outright silencing us entirely, like what Mike wants to do, and like how, for example, a group of people tried to do to a bunch of content creators just a couple of years ago in an event I like to call the Attack on the Nerds. The screenshots on the screen. Wow, that's a phrase. Feel free to pause, by the way, if you'd like to read each and every single one of them, although some details are small in some of them, but you can find them online very easily. Tell the story of an organized cancel campaign from Disney Star Wars fans who were salty that there are people out there who don't want to keep eating the same poorly written, lazily presented, ideologically compromised garbage that Disney keeps cranking out. They targeted channels like Nerdrotic and his panelists from Friday Night Tights, Ryan Kinnell at RK Outpost, Geeks and Gamers, which is also comprised of various content creators, both big and small, and Heel vs. Babyface, also known as the Starfield Pronoun Man.
Taking my headphones off.
And, yeah, sorry about that. Hey, listen, we like to have a little bit of fun here on the channel, okay? Besides, I don't think Az would mind that edit. He seems to have a good sense of humor. But anyway, if he does though, if someone clips this or whatever, let me know so I can make another one with another soundtrack from Mortal Kombat instead. Sorry, anyway, so they did this and they did it with extremely concise rhetoric. They made and even illustrated these documents detailing their claims against them with links and all forms of other professional-looking shit, and heavily leaned onto terms such as hate, vitriol, bigotry, harassment, etc., and how they jeopardized the safety of the community and creatives in the space, and then demanded for YouTube to step it up and at least demonetize them, which would essentially kill their channels. All this was a malicious, deliberate attack with coded language to try and suppress people's criticism. People that were resonating with, Star Wars fans and Marvel fans and etc. These companies think that these channels, people who criticize all kinds of things, be it TV shows or video games, are the ones who are causing their companies to fail and go down, but it's not. It's themselves. They're making shitty products. The shitty products are the cause for the channels and for their own failures, not the other way around. Thankfully, this insanely slanderous and disingenuous attempt failed, but this is just one item in a long-running list. If you follow these kinds of topics on a regular basis, you may also be familiar with Alyssa Mercante. She's become quite an infamous figure in these circles because of habitually lashing out against gamers and encouraging counter-movements against people who, well, it depends. Usually I would just say people who criticize woke stuff in media, but it has since become so much more than that, reaching to the point where it can just be criticism against many other facets of bad games or bad decisions in the games industry that she then frames in whatever way she wants. A famously notable example of this is this hit piece on gamers and critics in general, accusing us of being just bigots when criticizing things like, well, the games she used in the picture as an example to begin with. But this of course spans out to much more. Never mind that these games are so ridiculously flawed that for some of them you can literally make a 17-hour breakdown of loads of shit it gets wrong without touching on the culture war. Apparently that doesn't matter. In reality, you just don't like Star Wars Outlaws because it's a woman protagonist and you're a woman hater. Don't look at all the examples of beloved female characters and protagonists in video games. That's a red herring, guys. That doesn't exist, guys. It's all misogyny, guys. To put it in her own words, don't pretend like this has ever been about anything other than hate, guys. I'm sorry about the nasally voice, by the way. I know it's getting out of control this far into the video, but yeah, I'm trying here, fellas. I'm huffing a bunch of a menthol right now to see if it gets any better, but let's just get through this. We're almost done with the video. Anyway, Alyssa has since expanded and escalated this behavior, making all sorts of posts trying to gather information on people, basically fishing for things that she can use against them either legally or in future hit pieces such as articles or the book that she claims to be writing on Gamergate. One person she's already actively engaged with in a lawsuit is SmashJT. Some of you here may know him already, he's a content creator. She's suing him for harassment, defamation and doxing, and he might not be the only one, as she has made posts claiming that she's ready to move on forward with legal action against several parties. And this isn't the only fishing that she's been doing. In her very own lawsuit, she's trying to get all manner of contacts from, other people that, in a way, they're not orbiters of SmashJT, but it's just people that usually make content in the same space. Hypnotic is an example. She's also been inquiring about random Twitch streamer popularities and directly inquiring about Asmongold himself. Basically, she's incapable of understanding why streamers like him and others have been getting more popular over time, resonating with more and more people, while at the same time, her own little industry of activism in journalism and activism in game development is going out of fashion. So in her mind, I don't know, it's like it's all probably a deliberate conspiracy or some shit. Worse, the extent of her fishing is never just to write an article either, it's to attack, smear and besmirch. She participated in a little campaign to screw with Asmon's partnerships with Capcom, acting as a signal booster for these posts to get hundreds of thousands of views, and the ultimate goal is to do the same with everyone, and in a much wider scale, such as with YouTube. She often throws jabs saying that platforms online have helped prop up right-wing reactionaries, aiding in fascist ideology to be streamed directly to impressionable male viewers. This is like blatant coded language to incite both her viewers and followers to target the people she points at, but also to escalate things with platform owners, even though in reality it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, listen to these words, listen to the actual gravity of what she puts down, and then look at what's actually going on, like really. People are criticizing video games and laughing at them. That's it. And yes, sometimes people do specifically name drop these DEI/ESG terms because they exist, because they are there, and especially because they can be directly linked to the insane decline in quality that games have suffered over the past few years. And by the way, the reason why this rhetoric gets more heated over time is because of people like her who suppress those who criticize games or shows or whatever and label them as monsters. That's the real problem here, that's why it happens. It's not what's being said that is bad and generates this, heating of the rhetoric. It's that for years, it's been getting suppressed while game journalists like her and developers like the ones from before will be openly hateful against their critics, while also at the same time virtue signaling about kindness, tolerance, inclusion, and all this other fake, double standard bullshit. If you want to get to the other side where the grass is greener and the sun is shining and the rainbows are in the sky, then take some damn accountability for your own part in this. I mean, holy shit, she was directly fishing for dirt on Asmongold for her hit piece in the same goddamn week that his father had just passed away. And then she has the gall to act like she's above it all. Like, what is this, a fucking joke? And again, all of this even only matters when it applies, because far, far before anyone ever threw around these terms like DI or woke or whatever, gamers have always been extremely vocal in roasting the ever-living shit out of games that are just complete messes. Terrible games, scams, monetization, all manner of issues. Gamers have always been the way that they behave now. It's always been like this. The criticism has always been blunt. Everybody knows this, and if they don't, it's because they're goddamn tourists. It's been this way since before I was born, sweetheart. Now, beyond the list, we also have the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc. coming out last year after a period of a bit of a hiatus, doing an interview where, of course, she went off about how much of a victim her and her poor innocent narrative consultant company is. And as usual, the game is played in the same old classic way, where instead of focusing on actually showing and going after real instances of harassment, which I do believe exist, like, I'm not a bad faith idiot, I know there's people on the internet who take it too far, of course they exist, all over the place too, even in my comment sections. But instead of that, she just lumped everything together, including the criticism, almost as if to equate both things to being exactly the same, which they are not. Sorry, but people shitting on your games are not the same as people doxing you and sending you personal messages of a special variety that I shouldn't say here on YouTube. If that was it, there would be nothing to add here. It's like, yes, of course, protect yourself, protect your privacy, go after people who act unhinged and uncivilized online. They don't belong in civic discourse. But sadly, that's never the case. It's always just using them to be able to lump together and attack legitimate, innocent critics. As a response, Sweet Baby Inc. has since gone back to work and has taken steps to try and ensure their anonymity, basically working on games without letting anyone know that they're doing so, like they used to by advertising it. There's still ways to find that out through some actual journalism, figuring out connections and etc. But even without that, it's kind of irrelevant. People don't hate Sweet Baby Inc. because of the name. They hate it because of what they do to games. And what they do to games is easily noticeable while playing them or looking at certain character designs that look like some bullshit some kooky activist came up with. In a way, making it anonymous might even be worse because it kind of throws a blanket over it, where all individual players might see something suspicious and assume that SBI is involved, even if it isn't. But either way, this isn't really of concern to me. Besides this, they are also fully committed to fighting this stuff that they call harassment, even together with other allies in the industry to put pressure on platforms. Just like what they already did with the Steam when, again, they tried to take out that Steam curation page that informed players whenever SBI had been involved with a game. And yeah, that just brings us to the end of the video. These are only the big fish cases, there's always more in smaller cases around, and the mission is always the same, basically to fight back against those who have been fighting back. Some of them, like Alyssa, love to put out these ideas of conspiracy-like things where there's no way that the popularity of people like Asmongold is natural or any of these other channels. It must be artificial, it must be fake, propped up by whoever. But really, the only people who were propped up in the industry were them. They are unpopular, their ideas are rejected, and yet they still have high positions in the industry this entire time. Well, had. Not all of them do. People like Alyssa, for example, have really fallen off since, like god damn, big time too. But other mates of hers haven't. Theirs is the unnatural order of things, nepotism and other bullshit running over the structure, and it's not that it's unique to them, of course not, but in this case specifically, that's what we're talking about. Doesn't matter if nobody cares about your reviews or your think pieces or your malicious articles against X, Y, and Z, you're still employed for as long as those ESG dollars roll in, so long as you keep pushing the message. On our neck of the woods, especially on YouTube, popularity grows naturally through resonating with audiences. There's far more people sick of all this bullshit than they realize. And the funny thing is that if they moderated themselves, if they were more down to earth and more understanding of other folks' perspectives, they wouldn't be losing so much popularity nor breathing so much contention from certain channels. It would actually kill the more reactionary channels out there with harsher opinions because at least there would be a middle ground and some sense, but instead they choose to take people's moderate criticism and label them as bigots, grifters, and in other cases like, more extreme activists activists like Alyssa labeling them as fascists. It's to the point where the meaning of the word is just completely lost now. It doesn't even mean anything. Like, you hear it and it's like an actual one, or the type of one where it's totally not actually one at all and it's just you exaggerating because you're stupid. And this has led to a total erosion of that middle ground and the temperature increase of the narrative that we have now. And so sadly, yeah, with this kind of thing on the rise, where it is very clearly their intention and even goal to silence us, even if it's just the smallest voices tucked away in some obscure corner of Steam, writing a random review on some small indie game that most people would never even hear about, if not, once again, for the Crashout, then yeah, I see things getting even worse in 2026 rather than getting better. But that's about it for this video. I kinda like to end videos on a lighter note if I can, but since this one closes off in a bit of an iffy way, I'll just play us off with a heel versus babyface video again. Thanks for watching, fellas. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff that helps non-nepotism boys like myself crack through the algorithm's thick walls, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Take